How are you? Thank you for coming. I appreciate. Yeah. The best team. Yeah. You know, I'm coming once. Who heard me already? I think that some of you heard me a year ago, maybe. In which course are you?
A couple of months ago.
Okay. All of you are in the software development track?
Yes.
Anyone in the UI UX? Huh? By the way, this is the general purpose presentation, so anyone that in the high-tech sector, it is applicable to him. You don't need to be specifically in the software, by the way. Because from the point of view of the project management, it's a general term. The fact that we are giving these implications on software, it's nice, but the general terms are applicable everywhere. So let's close the door. Thanks. What is the average time that you're in the software business here? Give me some examples. Few weeks, okay. Few months, okay. Anyone with previous knowledge, a little bit? Huh?
In management.
In management?
I have, but in power energy.
Power energy, okay.
So what does it mean, Agile management?
What is?
Agile management.
Okay. Okay. So, first of all, I appreciate that you came because this is not a simple topic. Okay, usually to learn project management you do after years in the software project sector, but in my belief, this is something that everyone needs to understand what is project management. And by the way, from your point of view, if you find this interesting, you can think about this in the future. You know, not all of the software professionals are going to managerial positions. You know, at the end of the day, somebody needs to do the job. Okay, somebody needs to code, really. But so not everybody going to software project management position. It's something statistically about 1/10. 1/10 of the software development people goes to managerial position. Because most of the people want to keep coding. They love to code. But the concept of software project management is important to everyone to understand. So what I will try to do in this hour is to give you introduction to. If this is something that is interests you, there is a lot of bio that I will give you, okay, that you can read. And if something is not clear, please stop me, because there is a lot of information here, okay, which is not trivial from the point of view, it's not how to code in HTML. Okay, this is in much more wider perspective. Okay, so stop me if anything is not clear. For me, it's nice to have a lecture about this. Ksenia asked me to give a lecture. I think last time that I gave a course in software project management was years ago. This was something that I was doing about software project management, and specifically I was specialized in what we called software cost estimation. This is part of the project management, which deals with what we call cost estimation, is to answer the questions, how much dollars the project will cost. Very, very interesting and difficult question. Okay, try to estimate when you're at the beginning, how much is it going to cost? Okay, so this is a specific topic that I was specialized years ago. Okay, so what are we going to have? We are going to talk about what is project management. Just a word to all the ones that don't know me. I'm located in Israel, coming to Ukraine once in a few months, and I'm one of the founders of Dan IT Education here in Kiev. So we will discuss what is project management. We will discuss why projects are failing, which is very interesting to see. What is project lifecycle? Hi, guys. We'll talk about definitions of terms in project management world. Again, I will give you just an overview and some brief understanding, and if something of this will be interest to you, you can read about this later. And I will give you some resources that you can check later. So what is project management? The definition of project management is the discipline of defining and achieving targets while optimizing the use of resources. What is resources? It's the time, how much time the project will take, how much money, I have a budget for a project, which kind of people which I'm going to employ, any materials, energy, space. You know, at the end of the day, a project manager is the mom and dad of the project. So he is responsible for everything. What does it mean, everything? Imagine that he's not only responsible for how the software will look like, but where the people are going to sit. Is there enough heat in the room? If there is no enough heat in the room, it's his problem, not anyone else's problem. So to be, by the way, a good project manager, you have to have a logistic capabilities as well. This is one of the things, by the way, that project managers are surprised after this and say, I need to take care about the transportation. I'm a software guy. And the organizations look at him and say, yes, you need to ask for transportation if there is need for transportation. You need to ask for food if there is need for food. At the evening, when people want pizza, and if he wants to give them pizza, he needs money for this. So small things. This is project manager's role as well. Amazing. It's not software development at all. A lot of time project managers think that they are responsible only for the production of the software. No, a project manager is responsible for the people, for the money, for the materials, for space, everything. Over the course of the project, which a project is a set of activities in a finite duration. Okay, so as you can see, we're in a very high level of discussion. 5 variables we have in a project. By the way, it's in every project, specifically in a software project. When I'm talking about every project, building a house is a project. Manufacturing a car is a project. Okay, we are talking about software project, but generally, these items, okay, are relevant to any project. But soon enough, we'll be in the software area, okay? Be patient. So we have 5 variables in each project. How much time will it take? How much will it cost? What will be the quality of the project? What will be the scope of the project? What is the scope of the project? What we called software definition. What is the definition of the project? Who is doing the definition of a project? Customer, the client, together with a product owner, the project manager, system analyst. There is specific roles that are doing what we call scope definition. This is one of the most important things, is what we call scope definition. The profession that is called product manager, by the way, define the product scope, if it is a product base. There is a job role which is called system analyst. I don't know if you heard about this. System analyst is a job role which is used in information systems in organization. What is information system in organization? ERP system. Did you hear about ERP system? Or CRM system? Or billing system? These are information systems. The one who is doing the scope of a project in information system, this job role is called system analyst. So all of these guys, together with the project manager, responsible for the scope. And the 5th variable is the risk. To assess the risk of a project, it means in every item of the project, I need to know what is the risk now that it will not go live. This is another aspect. It's called risk management. By the way, every word that I'm saying is a totally different presentation and lecture. Only to risk management, we can talk about workshop of 3 days. So risk management for project managers is a totally different area that we can lecture about, and you need to learn. By the way, anyone here is graduate from industrial engineering? In industrial engineering, if you have, I don't know what is the term in Ukraine, but in Israel, as an example, there is industrial engineering with emphasis on information systems. Do you have this in Ukraine as well?
My graduation is so-called SPS. It's like PLC systems and drives.
Okay, so in Israel, there is a specific definition of industrial engineering with speciality in information systems. These graduates are the guys that are going to be system analysts, project managers, and they understand very good the risks, as an example. These guys specifically. This is a specific, okay, training that you can get. But for us, as introduction, I just want to understand the scope of a project. So a project has 5 variables. So imagine that I'm putting here the time and the cost and the quality and the scope and the risk, and I cannot get it all. There is no project that you can get with the lowest the time, minimum cost, higher quality, maximum scope, and minimum risk. Cannot be done. And that's something that usually we, as information system guys, need to explain this to our client. Because the potential client thinks that he can get everything with the minimum price and the minimum time. And one of the things that a good project manager is the one that explains this to a client and say to him, if you want the maximum scope of the project, you must understand that it's going to take time and it's going to cost you money. Amazingly, the client said, I don't understand why. Okay, I don't understand why you need 2 years to work on a project, why it's not 2 months. Okay, so one of the things that a good project manager is doing, he is understanding, is explaining to the client what is a project manager needs to do in its time. So project variables are the time, is the amount of time to complete the project. And when I'm a project manager, what I'm doing, I'm trying to narrow the time into work breakdown structure, into a specific boxes that I can relate to it. And I will talk about this in a minute. The cost is calculated from the time and the effort. What is effort? The term effort in project management is how many man-months do I need in the project? Oh, I don't have marker. Okay, what is effort? Effort is how many man-months. Man-months, 1 man-month, 2 man-months, 3. These are 3 man-months. If they're working 12 man-months, it is 1 year. So effort is not the money, is the effort that I'm putting. Now I can take your salary and your salary and salary, multiply this by man-months, I got how much the cost of the project. So this is the difference between the cost and the effort. These are all things that are relevant to the cost of the project. So we have the time, we have the cost, we have the quality, and the quality in software is something that is measurable. I don't think that any of you took a course about software testing. But when you learn software testing, or what we call quality assurance, software quality assurance, it is immeasurable. You know how many bugs or defects, we call it, in a software per day, per week, per month. And of course, the software quality is lowering it down. So there is a measure to what is the quality of a project. By the way, there is no project with zero defect. No project. And Boeing just showed us that there is no project with zero defects. You heard that they are now going to launch an update to the software. You heard about this today. They announced that they are going to launch in the next couple of days an update to the software of the Boeing that will solve the problem. Amazing. So, yes, but they didn't find a bug. That's the problem. The problem with software development is that there is no zero bugs. There is no 100% of quality. From 0 to 100, there is no 100% quality assurance. No. If you were a quality assurance manager, this is one of the first things that you learn. You will not reach 100%. And Boeing has just proved this concept. You can achieve 90%, 91%, 92%. Now, you can argue with Boeing, and there will be a lot of lawsuits, I'm sure. How did you release the Boeing without 99.9% of quality assurance? I'm sure that they thought it is 99.9% quality assured. Okay? Eventually, it's not 100%, and this is what we saw. Okay, so this is the issue of quality. And you have to understand that to getting from a quality of 99.1% to 99.2%, it's maybe will take another year of checking. So a company at the end of the day says, that's enough. I'm releasing. Apple as an example. Apple, you know Apple. All the time, years ago, when the founder was alive, was very proud that they launched products with close to 100% of quality assurance. Microsoft was the opposite side. Everybody knew when Microsoft launched a product, it's with no quality at all. But they prefer to launch it fast and then to fix. Apple, as strategy, said, I will launch it in a much longer version from the point of view of time, but it will be in a higher quality. Again, it's coming back to the project management issue. You have to give something up. So they sacrifice the time, but they get quality. Microsoft sacrificed the quality, and they got the time issue. You cannot get it both. Understood? If something is not clear, please stop me, okay?
Can you not spend more money and buy time?
Sorry?
Can you not spend more money and buy that time with more specialists?
Usually, it's not possible to just inject money and get the quality. Usually, it's not. I will talk about this, okay? The first one is scope, which is the requirements. And this is one of the easy things to understand. If you want less time, cut the requirements. This is one of the basic things that you learn as a project manager to talk with your clients. You want this in 2 months? No problem. Cut the requirements in 90%. I will give you this in 2 months.
Okay, and this functionality that we want to cut, we'll deliver it later.
No problem. You are the client now? No problem. Whatever you like, I will do. Okay, first of all, this is my belief. Okay, now let's talk about the timing. Prioritize your requirement. Anyone have been in my lecture about startups? I've done a, no? It's a good one. I think half a year ago, I've done a lecture about issues in startups. Okay, one of the issues in startups, one of the terms is called MVP. MVP, when you're starting a startup, you cannot do everything that you want immediately. You need to decide which kind of requirements you are emphasizing. It's called MVP. Okay, minimal valuable product. This is MVP. What is the minimum requirements that demonstrate that the product is working? Not what is the maximum product, what is the minimum product. So this is exactly what we are doing with clients. With clients, you need to explain to them that discussing the scope of the project has impact on the time and on the cost of the project. Usually, there is no client that will come to you and say, I have endless money. Nobody will come to you and say, I have endless money, give me a project. They are coming otherwise. They will say, I have, maybe Google, but I'm not sure that Google as well, by the way. They have budget. Usually, a client comes to you and say, I have $1,000, $100,000 for an ERP system, and I need it to be ready until the 1st of January, which means that we have 9 months. And I want to have an ERP system. Okay, now we are starting a discussion. ERP system can be with 10 functionality and with 100 functionality. So let's discuss what we can put in 9 months and in $100,000. This is the discussion that the project manager is doing together with the client. So you see that the project manager has to have a background in software, but he has to have a very good background in business. You see that I'm all the time talking business now. You see? Because when you're talking with a client, it's immediately about time and money. Okay, so this is the issue of the scope. And the risk is a question to the client. How much would you invest in the risk management? What does it mean, risk management?
Minimize the risk.
Okay, what is the risk management from the point of view of the client? What is a risk? Let's assume that the
Probability of some bad things appearing.
Okay, let's put a concrete example. Let's come back to the ERP system. ERP system, it's accounting system as an example. Let's assume that the accounting system will have a bug or will have a problem with the database and will fail. Can you as an organization survive if the accounting system is down? So you as a client will say, I can survive for a day, for a 2, maybe for a week. But if it's going to be a month, I'm broke because I have to have reports to the Ministry of Taxation. So months I cannot be without a system. So this is risk management as an example. So he will tell you, you need to bring me a system that can be down only for days. Okay, I understand. This is risk. If it is electricity company and the electricity going down, can we be with this kind of system? The answer is no. Okay, so the risk in such an electricity company, the risk is very high. Okay, the risk management is very high. If you're Boeing, the risk management is very, 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 very high. And we have an example how it failed. Okay, this is the risk argument. Amazing numbers. This is the project success throughout the world. There is a company called Standish Group. They provide analysis of software projects that they gather from all around the world, and they categorize it. You see that successful, failed. And in the middle, in the yellow, challenged. What does it mean, challenge? Challenge, it means that you can argue with the client if it's failed or not. Okay, this is what we call challenge. It's not success. If you're interviewing the client, what they are doing, they are taking a bunch of projects that they are getting from all around the world, and they are interviewing the client and the supplier. Okay, and when they're asking the client, is the project a success? If he says, yes, the project is success, then it's green. If they say it's failed, it's red. Most of it is challenged. It means that some of it fails, some of it succeed. What is a failure of project? What do you think is a failure of project? No money is one. Okay, this is one option. Another? No money, by the way, it means, I just want to, what's the name? Andre. What does it mean, no money? No money, it says that the project didn't finish in the amount of money that was allocated at the beginning, or it cost much too much than was budgeted. By the way, much too much in the software business, you have some ideas how much is much too much? What is too much for to be more than what's budgeted? 100%. Nice. 100% is much, not much too much, much. 300% is much too much. Amazingly, between between the budget and 100% above the budget, it seems to be okay. Yeah, people say, okay, there is 30% of increase in the budget. From their point of view, it's okay. Okay, imagine projects in the engineering world, in the construction. Okay, if you are in a 20-30% of above the budget, okay, people are killing themselves. In the software business, 100%, yeah, that's okay. Amazing, yes, it's not good, but it's okay. 300%, it's something that you can talk about. So it's interesting to see what is failure. Failure in the money issue is 300%. Challenged is 100%. You see the yellow, the challenge is when it's 100% above the budget. There is fixed contract, but I'm the supplier. I come to you and say, I cannot do this in this fixed contract. What do you do? What do you do? You're stuck with no ERP system. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You give me the money and curse me, right? And you will say to the study group, this is a challenge. This is it. This is exactly what it is. Okay, this is the problem with us in the software engineering. You know, this area that we are working in is called software engineering. And the joke is that there is no engineering here, because engineering cannot accept 300%, right? So there is no engineering. Okay, but this is software engineering. So challenge, as an example, is money type. Let's talk about the time. I said it will take a year. It took 2 years. Challenged. Understand? Challenge, it's not catastrophic. Challenge, yeah. And it's amazing. Go and talk with colleagues after. Talk with them about meeting the requirements and the time and the budget. Okay? Now, what is relevant regarding the successful or failed most of the time is the requirements. So amazingly, the client that is interviewed will say that there will be 100% over the budget and 50% over the time. But eventually, I got the system and it met the requirements that I want. From his point of view at the end, he got the system. So maybe he will put it on green, because the requirements is the most important thing. If he will not get the requirements, it's a totally failure. So at the end of the day, what we are doing in the software business is meeting the requirements. Okay? At the end of the day, you have an ERP system, you succeed to do the reports, the financial reports, you succeed to do this upon decent time, that's okay. So amazingly, this is the statistics. And you see here 2 terms. One is called Waterfall, and the other is Agile. I will talk about this in a minute. No, these are 2 methodologies for software development. I will give you some introduction to software development lifecycle. These are 2 methodologies. One of the left side is called the Waterfall methodology, and on the right side is the Agile methodology. As you can see, the Agile methodology seems to have much more green than the waterfall. You see, this is something that should pop up to you, right? It means that, as a conclusion, if you are using the Agile methodology, you should have much more better results as success, right? No. Because I didn't put a remark, this is relevant from the Agile point of view on small project. Agile specialized in small project. Usually, startups are using Agile methodology. Ask all of your friends that have startups or are working with startups. They are using Agile methodology as development. When you're talking about huge projects, you know, big ERP systems, big CRM systems, big billing systems in a cell phone company. These are huge projects, which means to develop them, you need a couple of millions of dollars. Okay, these are huge projects. Small projects, you have a startup, $100,000, you got a project. Okay, in the huge projects, it seems to be that Agile is not working at all. So you need to have waterfall. And it's one of the conclusions is that you have much more chance to have failure in large projects than in small projects, which means small projects are much better to do. You have much of certainty that you will succeed than large projects. That's a fact. And if you're a project manager, you need to understand the risks. This is one of the risks. But again, I'm not talking about all the aspects. Remember, this is only introduction. Yeah, sorry.
If you are talking about large, huge projects, $2 million, $10 million and so on, at the end of the day, it consists of from many small tasks.
Not necessarily. Okay, we'll talk about this. Yeah. All right, remember the question. So, project management is about the planning, the control, the teamwork, assessing the risk, of course, the communication, etc. And what is a project manager? I give you two remarks. On the right side, a typical project manager should be an optimistic guy. Okay, this is the internal jokes that we have among project managers. He should be an optimistic guy because most of the time he's going to fail. So I just show you the statistics, right? So usually you're saying to a project manager, if you are not an optimistic guy, don't be a project manager. You will not survive. Understand? This is first. Second, project manager should understand a project manager is a person who thinks that 9 women can deliver a baby in 1 month. Okay, we talked about pushing efforts. This is it. You cannot solve quality issues but just pushing efforts. It's not working. There is a timeline for everything. This is what it says. Okay, but remember the optimistic. Remember, if one of you is not optimistic, you can go out. Okay. So what a project manager do? First, he plans the task in the project. He has a project, he has to plan the tasks. He had to avoid dependencies problems. Dependencies, I will talk in a minute. It means what tasks comes before or after a task. It's a matter of drawing the right scheme of the project. Okay? Then he had to reduce risks all the time. He had to reduce risks if he wants to have the project in the final track. Then he had to track the progress. By the way, it's not simple. It's like, it's just a line in a slide. But I can tell you this is one of the main challenges of a project manager is to track the progress. Now you're saying, what's the problem with tracking the progress? What's your name? Sergey. I'm asking Sergey. Sergey, how did you advance with the programming duty that I gave you yesterday? Very good. Okay. What does it mean?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. And then I'm asking Andre, and what we've talked the day before yesterday, the one that you said that you finished 90%. Hear what I'm saying. You said to me the day before yesterday that you finished 90%. What is the status now?
95.
Yeah. You know, amazing thing for project managers is that 90% doesn't mean anything on the next 10%. It means that the next 10% can take another 90%. So the understanding that tracking the progress is very, very problematic. This is the reason, by the way, that you have to divide the work into small pieces. Because if you have it in big chunks, then you got lost at all. Okay? To you, I will sit with your code and show me. Show me where you got. Show me how many line of codes did you do. You know that amazing thing. What will be the difference between Andrei and Sergey? They are both software engineers, juniors, software engineers, okay? What will be the difference in their production? What can be the difference, in your opinion? In an amount of productivity. You are doing 100 line of codes per day. How many? You know, everything that I'm saying in the software engineering world, everything has been checked and surveyed. It can be 1 to 10, the level. He will do 100, you will do 1,000. And you can have in your own team 2 different kind of persons. One that is doing 100 and one that is doing 1,000. How can you track progress? You need to see by the eyes. Okay, amazing. This is 1 to 10 is the normal difference between people in the same project. Understand what I'm saying? And me as a project manager, it's a challenge, amazing challenge. How do I track progress? And by the way, you will say, okay, you as a project manager, you will see that you will hire only the one that knows to do 1,000. I have a matter of price, of cost. They are very expensive, these guys. I cannot afford to have only these kind of guys. So usually in a project, there is something between not 1 to 10, between 1 to 5. This is the average in projects. Amazing.
Sorry, quick question. So is there like a standard for these kind of lines that you expect from
Yes.
the tablet?
Yeah.
So the guy can do 1,000, can he not do like 100 and then go rest?
Yeah.
Or he still does 1,000?
He's doing 1,000. He's doing 1,000. For this, he's paying twice than he does. Okay? Because the organization knows how to appreciate these guys. But you are unique. Oh, you are unique. Oh, you're unique. Okay. So this is interesting thing to think about. Okay? And I'm not getting into all of the aspects, right? You have to organize the project processes and timeline to improve client-programmer communication. Oh, very important thing. Usually, the programmers doesn't necessarily have decent communication skills. They know how to program. They don't know how to communicate. Okay, it's not all of them has communication skills, which are very good. One of the things that a project manager needs to do, he needs to communicate. So on behalf of the programmer, on behalf of the client, he needs to communicate together. So this is it. He has to improve this. Manage the client expectations, one of the best lines to think about. One of the project manager's roles is to work together with the client all the time and to explain to him that his expectations is here, he will get this. Okay, and this is something that you're going to do all the time. You have to set expectations as an ongoing process. Okay, very interesting. And of course, you have to complete the project in budget and on time. Of course, this is what a project manager. It's not simple, as you understand. It's a complex work to be a project manager. By the way, as you can see, what a project manager is not doing, he's not coding anymore. He's not. Actually, he's not. He doesn't have any time to do this. What he's doing all the time is managing. He is running between all the teams, okay, and checking what can go wrong. A project has a beginning, has end. This is a project, hopefully has an end. And it takes resources, people upon time. It takes money. equipment, location, desks, and the resources that is used is temporarily. This is interesting. It means that some of the projects in organizations needs to have their resources in temporary manner. Now, it's not simple, because if I want now to take Sergey, but he's sitting now in a different division, okay, I need to ask for Sergey. So it's a matter of organizational chart of a specific organization, how it works. But at the end of the day, projects is in a set of time. It's temporarily positioned. So usually software houses have scheduling systems that gives me Sergey for 6 months, and then Andrei for another 3 months, and other for 3 months, and I need, as a project manager, to get along with this scheduling. Okay, it means that some of the resources are totally temporarily. Okay, and this is another risk that I have in a project. I'm taking you to the software engineering. What, at the end of the day, we are in the software business. So let's see what are the 8 phases of the software lifecycle. Okay? It can be 8, it can be 6, it can be 7, it doesn't matter. There are phases in software lifecycle. By the way, this guy, Barry Beam, it's called Beam, B-O-E-H-M, Barry Beam, is the guru. Barry Beam. Yeah, Barry Beam is the American name, is the guru of software engineering for years. If you want to learn about software engineering, by the way, he tracked and done a lot of surveys about software engineering. He has a lot of books that I will refer you to. So he is the godfather of all the software engineering methodologies. So usually, when you're talking about software development life cycle, you're talking about planning, analysis, design, implementation, testing, maintenance, and then phasing out. This is life cycle of a project in a software business. Now, when you look at this, where is the coding? Which phase? Code and unit, and here, implementation. So the coding is part here of the implementation. You see how many things there are besides the coding? So a project starts with planning. Then you have to have requirement analysis. This is the phase. You have to sit together with the client and define the needs. This is the analysis. Then you have to do design of the project. If you are a UI UX specialist, what do? The design from the point of view of the UI. If you are from the database administration, you are doing the design of the database. If you are a network administration, you have to do the design of the network. If you are a software guy, you are doing what we call design of the software. Design of the software, it means which modules are going to be, in which module, what the module is going to do, what are the input, what is the output, and what is the process. And then you are handing this to the coding, to the implementation. Then the software engineer is coming and is coding what everybody else have been designing. Then there is enormous part of testing and integration. Testing and integration, part of it is being done by the software developers. You're responsible for the unit test. Each programmer needs to test their program. Right? Right? Right. Okay? Then there is a profession which is called system tester, software tester. It's a profession. It's a job role which check that the system is doing what the requirements have been defined. You understand what I'm saying? There is a system now. We integrate it together. You've been doing a module, you've been doing a module, you've been doing a module. We integrate it together to one working system. Who is the one who is checking that the system itself, working as a whole, as what the requirements was? Okay? So this is what we call integration and testing. Then we are going to implement. We take the software, put it in the client premises, and we have to implement. We have to train the users. We've put ERP systems, new accounting systems. Someone has to train the accountants how to work with the system, how to enter data. These are all part of the software project. It's true, we are not doing this. These are different people are doing this. But from the project manager scope, it's one of the phases that I need to do. Then it's going to a maintenance phase. There are bugs, there are some updates, there are another roles that we need to do. And after a while, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, the system is rolling out. Rolling out, what does it mean? It's too old, obsolete, and the organization, the client wants to have a new system. So this is going to be a new system. So this is what we call rolling out. This is the life cycle of a system, from the planning till the dying.
But not of a project, right?
Sorry?
Not of a project. The project probably finishes on
No, the project is finished when you implemented it. But the life cycle, it's rolled out, and this is it. It's died. Okay, and then we are going to a different project. Okay, so this is the software life cycle. When we are talking about why do project fails, see what is the first reason. The first reason why project fails is that you cannot get the right requirements from the client. That the client actually didn't understand what he wants. And he defined a project, and then we are going to do it, right? Because when we got the definition, we are then designing, then we are coding, then we are testing, and we are rolling out. And then it's coming, the client is coming to the project and saying, what is it? This is not what I want. But you said, this is what you defined. Here is what you wrote. This is the requirement definition document. And he said, this is not what I want. This is it. Poor requirements definition. 50% of the project's failures are upon poor requirements definition. This is why to do requirement definition and product management, by the way, definition, is so important. You need to know how to communicate with your potential client and ask him the right questions. One of the mistakes of us as software project managers is that we don't understand that the client doesn't know what he wants. What does it mean that the client doesn't want what he wants? Exactly what it is. He wants a new system of accounting. Why do you want a new system of accounting? Maybe because he doesn't have anything. Maybe the old one is end of life. You know what is end of life term? End of life, it means that the company decided that they are not supporting anymore this system. So he has no choices but to get another one. Or, as an example, he heard that there is another system that are very, very good in the market. His system drives him crazy. You know what is driving him crazy? He pressed the return, and he goes to drink coffee, and he comes back. He didn't get any results yet. He then go to lunch. He didn't get. So it's obsolete. And then you are sitting together with him and ask him, what do you want? And he is a client. He doesn't understand what he wants. What he's doing, he's just saying to him, I want a new ERP system. I want new accounting systems. This is very poor requirement definition. This is it. Okay, connected to this, the poor scope definition. Scope definition is how wide is the project. Poor scope definition, it means that I don't want it only in Kiev. I want this in Kiev and all of Ukraine. You say, this is legitimate. Okay, but maybe this is not the right things to ask now concerning the time and the money that I have. Okay, again, remember the first slides. There is the time, the money, the scope, the quality, and the risk. The 5 variables. I cannot say that I want this to be implemented all over Ukraine, but I don't have the money to implement it beyond Kiev. Okay, so this is an exactly poor scope definition. Inadequate risk management, communication problems, lack of, but this is the most important one. Why do project fails from the point of view of the requirements? And when we're talking about software lifecycle models, we have different approaches how to provide the software. And I want to go over it a little bit just to give you the flavor. These are examples of models or methodologies of development. It means, how do I approach the methodology of development? This is the most known one. It's called Waterfall Model. And this is the one that most used now. It's called the Agile Programming Model. When you're in the startup world, in the high-tech world, most of you will use Agile. When you're in the IT, information system, the big information systems, you're in the Waterfall Model. I will show you in a minute what are the difference. This is classic Waterfall development model. It's self-explained. Let's see what does it mean. And why is it called Waterfall, by the way? Okay? We start with the requirements, right? Understand what the requirements, right? Requirements together with the client. Then I'm going to the design. Design, UI, UX, database, networking, how the modules will look like, design. After design, what I'm doing? Coding. Yeah, I'm developing the system. After developing, testing the system. And after this, rolling out and maintenance. Waterfall model means that you cannot go back. This is the waterfall model. This is the name, and it's self-explained. You cannot go back. So every step is well-defined. So you have a client, you work with the client, what do you want? Close this discussion, the client signed the paper, then you are going to the next one. What is the next one? The design. Finish the design, go to the coding. Go to the coding, testing, maintenance. This is the classical waterfall. Most of the systems, the big systems, is being developed in this model. So you finish the talk with the client, then you start to develop. What are the problems with this model? You can't go back, but what is the problem?
At the end, client means the result only at the end of the one.
Nice, nice. When do the client see the results? Only at the end of the system. This is classical. You will get the system in 2 years, and you will say, what? Now I'm finished talking with you, and I will see you again in 2 years? It doesn't make any sense. This was exactly what we were doing years ago. And in the waterfall issue, there is a review in each step, of course. And in theory, there is no way to come back. And the problem with this kind of model is the last sentence. In software projects, changes is the only constant. You always change. Now, by the way, this is a problem from the point of view of the relation with the clients. If it's all the time the client change what he wants, you cannot develop anything. So it's obviously we need something that is much more sophisticated. But the basic waterfall model is very important to you to remember because it's structured the way that we do the software development. So what we have what we call V model. V model gives you the ability, okay, it's requirement analysis, the design, module design, coding, then the testing, okay, and you can go back, Okay, this is the V model. And this is something that is very nice. And this is the model that for years software engineers were working. It's called the spiral model. Spiral models is based on prototypes. You see here prototypes? You start with a concept, do a prototype. Coming back to the requirements, do another prototype. Prototype is a demo of the system. It's a mini system. Ask the client, this is what you want? Coming back to a prototype, is this what you want? And in the third or the fourth iteration, the clients say, this is it. So this gives us the ability to do much better requirement analysis. It solves the problem of the changes. So you give the client the opportunity to do a set of requirements analysis in phases. In all the time, you show him a prototype and ask him, this is what you want? This is what you want? This is what you want? After the third or fourth time, this is it. And then you're doing a waterfall. But it's working. And this concept, the spiral, is the basis for Agile methodology. Agile methodology says you're dividing it to small pieces, and in each and every small pieces, you do the spiral. You do prototyping, this is what you want, prototyping, this is what you want, and develop, 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 develop in small chunks. This is what we call the Agile methodology. So we evolved from a waterfall to an Agile through the spiral. I know that this is very fast, and I'm giving you, let's say, a course in University of Software Engineering in 1 hour. Okay, this is what we are doing here, right? Okay, so this is it. This is the introduction. So I don't need you to understand in depth what is the difference between them, just to know that there were few generations of software development methodologies when we started from the waterfall, and we are now evolved, okay, to what we call the Agile Development. Okay, Agile Development, functionality 1, integration, functionality 2, integration, functionality 3, integration, 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 integration. Small chunks. Now, what the market understands now, that Agile is relevant to relatively small projects. You cannot take huge project, the ERP project in electricity company. You cannot do in Agile world. You cannot, because at the end of the day, you have to do spiral model over there. I will not get into the reason, but then you implement waterfall/spiral model. The Agile, usually you will work in startups. Okay, so this is an introduction about what you will be encountered when you will be in the system analyst in a project manager world. Just to give you some understanding, coding is only about 10% of the effort. If you take your project manager, you have 100% of the effort, and you will ask how much out of the time and effort is for coding? 10%. This is it. Amazing. So if I'm a project manager and have to do estimation, and I need to have 4 programmers, it will be about 10% of the total effort of the project. By the way, this is one of the rules of thumbs that you have for estimation. Tell me how many programmers do you need, I will tell you how much all the project will cost. 10% multiplied by 10, you got the cost estimation, like this. You want to ask something?
What if we have a small startup that uses Agile and is, by the time it succeeds, but it now starts growing, and we have some like base requirements is wrong, and whole startup starts grows.
Because of the wrong requirements.
Yes, it's when it grows bigger,
Yeah.
and it starts broken because of base requirements.
Start over again. If you have a problem with the requirements, you have to start all over again. That's the problem with wrong requirements. That's a fact. It's not only in Agile, everywhere. This is it, cost of bug. This is what you were referring. It is known that if you're doing checkup about requirements, then the cost of the bug, this is the life cycle, okay? This is how much does it cost to fix a bug. The most expensive bug is the one that you find after you roll out. If you rolled out the systems and you find a bug here, this will be the most expensive one. The most expensive one. What does it mean in your terms? You have to start over again because you need to come back to the requirements and do all over again. This is the reason that there is a lot of discussion here in the requirements to see if the requirements are right. Because if you missed here a requirement and then you decide here that there is a problem, you have to go all over again. This is a very important understanding of what we call the cost of bug. As you discover the bug along the life cycle, it's going exponentially. Okay, and there is a lot of statistics about this. So this is the reason that you are doing testing each and every phase. And again, I'm not coming back now to getting into the testing methodologies. Another few terms that I want to share with you. One of them is called work breakdown structure. It's WBS. It means that each project you can divide into small pieces. Each and every piece is a block which is called at the end work breakdown structure, WBS. Let's assume that you have a project which is called computerized order processing system, and it has part of hardware, part of software, and part of personnel to implement this. Then you break the duties in a project into small pieces. This is how it looks. So this is a mechanism that if you're a project manager, you will learn how to use WBS system. Okay, it's called WBS. On top of the WBS, there is what we call PERT, another term in the project management world. It says that all the building blocks have the right order. It means the task 2 can be done only after task 1 has been finished. And task 3 can be done. What do you understand from here?
Also after task 1.
Yes, but in parallel to task 2. So this is very nice scheme of taking the building blocks and put it on the right order. So you see the task 2 has to be done after task 1, but can be done after in parallel to task 3. And actually, task 2 can be done in parallel to task 3, task 4, task 5, but task 6 can be done only after, see, it's self-explained. Task 6 what?
After task 2, after task 4 and 5.
That's right. You're all project managers now. This is it. This is how project manager works. He takes all the activities and now he draws to him the right order. And it is very important because from that point of view, then you can allocate resources to the right activities. And then you can calculate how much time it will take and what is the minimum time to provide the system. Because from my point of view, the minimum time to provide the systems will be after task 6 is accomplished. But again, task 6 can be done after task 2, 4, and 5, and task 2 can be in parallel to 3, 4, and 5, etc. Very self-explained. And there are, of course, computerized tools like Microsoft Project as an example that support this methodology. So this is a tool, WBS and PERT. Yes?
What level of coding skills I have to have if I want to be a perfect project manager?
Which kind of coding skills do you have to have if you want to be? Level?
Level of coding skills.
Okay. To be a project manager.
How good you need to know?
Okay, so first of all, this is ideologic question. You don't need to be a programmer to be a project manager, first. There is a track, I told you, which is industrial design with emphasis on information systems for people who are coming to the project management level from the point of view of the relations with the client. Okay, so they are coming from the discipline of the project management as a profession. Okay, but if you're a programmer, then it will take you some years until you will be able to be a project manager. And by the way, from my point of view, this is the preferred way, okay? Because then you understand what your people are doing, okay? This is the preferred way, but again, I'm in your shoes exactly, but 20 years ago, okay? I started from a programmer, okay? So obviously this is what I'm thinking, okay? But this is ideological concept, okay? There is a whole type of person that will say the project management is a profession that can be learned in parallel. But usually in software firms, an example, you will have to be a programmer to become a project manager. Few years. 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years maybe. It depends on the software company that you are in. Okay? Yeah.
Project manager in some other industry. What about the mentioned years to become a software?
Then you have an advantage. No, it will be shorter, and it is a very big advantage. But again, it depends on the company that you are working in. But I guess that if you have an expertise in software project management, not in software project, in project management, by the way, you need to know this kind of WBS and PERT is general terms. It's not in. Sorry?
I worked in construction as a project.
That's right. And these are general terms, WBS and PERT. And the next one is Gantt. Gantt is putting this on timeline. Again, these are all tools that general purpose of project managers are doing. So if you have this expertise already, then of course you have some knowledge that can advance you much quicker than the others. It makes sense. So this is the complement. There is the WBS, the PERT that show you what comes before the other, and then you have the Gantt. Gantt is the fact that you put this on a calendar. Then you can answer the question that the client asked you, when do I get the project? After you have the Gantt, after you had the WBS and the PERT, you can answer this, because then you're putting this on a Microsoft project as an example, all the activities, and you have the final result.
At what stage can you really do this scale?
On the planning of the project, at the requirements, at the end of the requirements. Very good question. At the end of the requirements, usually a good project manager can provide a project plan, what we call. This is the project well plan. Resources that I want to refer you. There is the Project Management Institute, which is called PMI. If a person wants to be specialized in project management, there is a certification, international certification, very well appreciated. It's called PMI. If you will look at Google about PMIs, you will see that they are highly appreciated. The tests, I don't think so. Okay, and this is something that all the project management courses gives you the ability to go to tests of PMI. Okay, this is the PMI, Project Management Institute. Very good, okay? Another resource that I want to give you is about the books. Then this is very interesting. It's a book called Peopleware, which analyze the differences between different people in software projects. The statistics about 1 to 10 in the level of programmers is from this book, Peopleware. There is a lot of statistics. Very interesting statistics. If one of you is interested in this kind of activity, it's very, very nice. There is the software project management measurement and estimates by DeMarco and Barry Beam. Okay, this is the most, I think, important project management book. Okay, this one is the classics. Right, this book. And there is a lot of things that you can find in the internet. And this is one of the well-recognized cartoons, which I want to go over it together with you, okay, from the left. This is how the customer explained it to us. We are the software team. This is what you want, okay? This is what I understand, okay, that he wants. This is what the designer does. This is what the programmer code. This is what the sales sold to the client that he will get. This is the documentation of the project. This is the operation, how it was installed. This was the billing of the client. This is how the help desk supported. And this is what he wanted. You see, this is what he wanted, this is what he explained. Okay, and I think that this is very good emphasis at what we were talking about during this last hour, okay? It's a very well known, okay, about the difference between what the client wants and what he gets at the end. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope it was worthwhile. Thank you. Thanks.